Hello and welcome to this mini portrait guide on drawing portraits in the 3/4 position. Now the 3/4 position means that you don't have a full face-on frontal view and you don't quite have a profile view. You have between those two. And the tricky thing about it is that you can't use your traditional measuring methods where you measure everything in terms of the eye length, because the eyes wind up looking like they're two different lengths, even though obviously they're not. It's just that the bridge of the nose winds up blocking part of the far eye. So let me show you what we mean and I'll go from there. Here is a picture of a man in a 3/4 view. And you can see one eye fully, but this eye is slightly blocked because of the bridge of the nose, just like I was saying. And you can imagine that if his head was turned even more to the right, more and more of this eye is going to be blocked. So this is a little bit more challenging. The first thing that I recommend doing is making an exterior graph. So that's what I'm going to teach you in this first class. An exterior graph means that you get the grid around the outside of the picture, but it's not going to go over the top of the picture and muddy up your view of the portrait at all. So start by measuring what you want to draw of your reference material. I cropped this in a little bit to get rid of some of that exterior, the background stuff, and I wound up with a width here that is 7 inches and a height of 5.25 inches. So then I measured, and then I found the center of the width here. So obviously the center here is 3.5, and then I found the centerpiece of 3.5, and it's right here at a little over 1 3/4. And then divide that distance into half again, and you get your final increment. So just carry those across top and bottom and do the same thing for the sides. Because that one is even more difficult to do in your head, 5.25, what I'd like to do instead is to put down a piece of paper across the top and bottom, just like this, mark off the bottom, and then fold it. Fold it in half, fold that half in half, and fold that quarter in half, marking each fold to make it easier to see where those increments lie. And then you can simply line up the paper with the side and copy those marks down. Do that on each side. Then labeling. I label the top and bottom numerically, and I label the side to side alphabetically. You can do it reverse, you can label it with pictures if you want, it doesn't matter. The only thing is you want to be able to see at a glance where you are in the reference frame. Then, really importantly, you need to set up a proportional rectangle on your drawing material. It has to be precisely proportional or your grid will not do you any good. So, since the original is 7 by 5.25, one size that will work for our drawing is 10 by 7.5. So let me put down the top line here of my 10 inches. Then my 7.5. If you're wondering how I figured that out, I will tell you that I used mathematics and cross multiplied. Okay, so there's a 7.5, and notice how I'm using a triangle, and every time I put down a new side, I lay up my triangle down so that I know that my new side is perfectly square to the lines I've already drawn. Then I have to move my triangle over a little bit to get to my 0, and this should be 10. My 10 point is right here. Then this last side should be exact 7.5. Okay, now I need to figure out my increments for my drawing paper. So top and bottom are going to be super easy because that is 10. So obviously the halfway point is 5. Whoa. You have to be careful. Put those marks down with a little bit more care than I just did. And the halfway point of 5 is 2.5. And the halfway point of 2.5 is 1.25. So then I have a 1.25. So then I have my first increment down. Let's shift 1.25 again, and again, and then if I'm right, this should be 1.25, which it is. Very good. I'm actually going to switch to graphite pencil because I'm smearing this. Charcoal is very smeary. Copy those same lines down on the bottom. And I can cheat this time because I know that the increment should be 1.25 apart. So whatever is fastest, do it that way. Okay, perfection. Then I'm gonna flip my paper so that I can do the same thing on the short side here, which is 7.5. That would be 3.75 for the middle, and then 1.5, 1/4, right here. Then it gets ugly for me at least, so I'm going to do my paper folding trick. Thank you very much. So let me just cut a strip off my printout for my reference. All you need is one mechanically straight edge to make sure that your lines are as perfect as you can make them. And I'm going to lay that paper down, mark off edge here, and fold it very precisely. Mark that center, fold it again, mark it, fold it a final time, mark that. Then I just copy those increments onto my drawing. Boom, 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 and boom. Okay, one more side to do. Perfecto. Now I just need to label them the same way that my reference is labeled, and we will be good to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and star it because that's the center. 6, 7. And notice that I'm not touching the paper where I'm going to be drawing. That is because I want to keep the oils of my hands off my paper. Little imperfections can make it really, really hard to draw on. The E point is my center for these sides. And that is great. So now that my exterior grid is done, I'm ready to move on to the next step, and for you, the next class.